The Star Wars universe is constantly expanding.
But how the heck are you going to keep tabs on it without a holocron? And where in the rim can I score the juiciest news and rumors?
You seek State of the Empire, Consequence of Sound's Star Wars speculation podcast, where we look for news in Alderaan places.
We dig into the Sarlacc pit of the internet for the hottest intel in the galaxy far, far away. Make Indiana Jones inquiries and keep watch for the latest on Willow.
Find us on consequenceofsound.net or wherever you procure fine podcasts. It's the show you're looking for. Consequence Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith With. It's an audio interview series presented by WFPK Independent Louisville, Consequence of Sound, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Wherever you're listening from, please hit the subscribe button right now and a rating and a review as well. I'm Kyle Meredith. Today, my guest, Jim Adkins of the band Jimmy Eat World. They just dropped 2 new songs, Love Never and Have Hearts. We're going to talk about how writing about love over the course of 25 years can change, and what the possible new album timeline might look like for Jimmy Eat World. There's also some discussion of punk rock in political times and that 25th anniversary, especially next year, how they might celebrate the anniversaries of their first EP and first LP. It's Kyle Meredith with Jimmy Eat World.
Well, I want to start out with the new singles then. Let's start there because you've surprised the world with Love Never and Have Hearts. Just as, I don't know, are these just one-offs?
I think so. I mean, we just had a bunch of songs and we have our own studio, so we figured let's just put something out because we can.
So it doesn't have to be tied to an album this time around. It's just...
No, I don't think so. I mean, it just sort of depends on what you want to do, I think, for anybody making music now. Like, there's no rules anymore.
Well, I mean, you also came from, I feel like you came from, sort of a school in the indie scene and the punk scene and everything when it was, the singles were still relevant even in the 90s. Like, you could do the split single. You've got plenty of split singles with friends and everything. So
yeah,
might not be as big of a jump for you?
No, I guess not. It's getting back to our roots. Yes, after the shock of the world died down from us releasing it, we just realized that it was getting back to our roots.
Yeah, the shock of the world.
Yes.
I was looking at this, Love Never, Have Heart. I'm like, I'm assuming we're talking about relationship songs in a way.
Sorta.
But I mean, this is, that you've written relationship songs throughout your whole career. And I thought, I wonder.
Boring.
No, it's not like that. But because what I get is, I wonder if it changes for you, like the way you write about love as you get older. If you've noticed if there's a difference than maybe the way you would have written about a relationship 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or is it all the same base emotion?
Yeah, no, I think you find yourself definitely kind of getting more into like the nuances of everything as you get older. It's not so much of, I think when you're younger, you just sort of blurt out what the first thing that comes into your mind and don't really self-analyze, don't really like proofread or peer edit, and it just goes out into the world. And sometimes like that's genius, and sometimes like you wish you could have kind of changed some stuff as you look back on it. But I think as you get older, it's definitely, I'm more interested in the nuances of everything. Like the relationship style kind of songs I find myself writing now are more about like you got like Love Never is a good example of it, because it's kind of more about like, what do you think love is, and what do you think it's gonna do for you once you get it? Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, so okay, great, you're in love. Now what? Do you win? Is it over? Are you done? Are you happy now? No? Well, then what was it you were chasing?
Yeah.
It's more about those sorts of aspects of it all that I'm interested in now.
I mean, it sounds like there is that bigger picture when you're talking about someone who kind of puts everything into one spot. Like, oh, if I just had this, everything would change. Whether it's love or if it's anything. If I just had money, my whole life would be better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's never true.
I mean, there's a line, and it's the one that I've got written down here, until you want the work more than the reward. I mean, what is that? What is that what that line means to you? Does that fit in with what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, people's idea of what love is really kind of wrong in most cases, I think. It's for me, it's more about like, how much do you want to contribute rather than how much, if you're at a point where you want to contribute more than like just get back, then I think you're at a place where you're experiencing love.
Said from a person who's been analyzing love for the majority of his life.
Yeah.
I agree with you, with every bit of that. Yeah. I guess then, past that, the obvious question, so these are just 2 one-off songs or whatever, but you are working on new music, right?
Always working on new music.
So is there any plans for that album yet?
Oh, there's always plans for an album. We'll be planning unless we're working on an album, we'll be planning to make a new album.
Right. So, but right now it's not set in stone. Like, no, yeah, we're going to be putting something out in October,
I
January
can't really,
or anything like that.
I don't have things together enough to where I could give you a time.
Right. I'm just a greedy fan.
Next
in that
year,
sense. Yeah.
Next year is realistic.
Yeah, right.
But
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be like this early summer or like winter.
Well, the other side of that, I mean, with what you're writing, is this sort of representative? Do you think of what else you're writing, or is this just like, oh, these sound so different, we're gonna do this over here?
We'll see.
I
I don't know yet.
All right.
Yeah, it's still kind of like all over the place.
There's another side of things too, because, and I guess this is also my curiosity for your writing. I've got written down here, punk rock and political times. You were part of the 30 songs for 30 days. As we go on here, to what extent do you subscribe to the need to be a voice for something like that?
It's tricky because I want to exercise our capital of speech in a way that's effective.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just it reminds me of like a little bit of the Bush years, kind of like just reading the news and like, oh, what's the daily bum out today?
Right.
But it's way worse. It's way worse.
Yeah.
It's just.
But I mean, there's something. I guess that's what I said. I don't know. There's always a thing like, oh, do you feel like you have to, as an artist, do you feel like you have to say something like this? And I think what I'm getting at is because you guys, you're not exactly punk, but you are a sort of punk, and there's the whole ethos that comes along with that. And that's is that sort of like the monkey on your back, like having to cater to that a little bit, to the ideology?
I think it's more important on what you actually do and what you actually support. I mean, anybody can get up on stage and spout off a bunch of stuff that like will get a round of applause.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I think it's just sort of a case by case thing on whether we think it's going to be the best use of our voice for the particular opportunity that might come up.
Because you're you got some shows, and I don't think they're in January with Frank Turner, which I was just hearing him talk a lot about the same stuff, because he sort of dipped in and out of it, and of course his new record is, goes way. That sounds like an exciting platform of a show to me, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be. We're excited for those gigs for sure.
Yeah, I guess, and I'll pull up some of the too, because I believe you were asked something similar to this maybe a year ago or whatever, and I know things change, so I'm not holding you to any kind of answer like that, but it's at that moment it was like, you know what? Maybe the headlines are making it worse than your everyday life is, because I can also agree to that to a point. Like,
yeah,
I don't like what's happening to certain people's, especially minorities out there, but my day-to-day life, doesn't instantly change with, I think, any kind of administration.
Yeah, from plutonium mining in the desert. Yeah.
Right. We haven't went into the Mad Max world just yet.
Yeah. No, it's tough. It's tough for sure. And it's kind of, maybe I should go back on what I said before about you can get up on making it sound easy to get up on stage and say anything, because you never really know. I guess I just don't feel it's tough to feel comfortable in like I said about what you're doing being effective, and you try to make the best choices about like where you spend that. But conversely, you'd never know really what's going to affect somebody. Right. You never know how your version of showing up is going to matter to someone. Yeah. In whatever capacity that is. So I think it's maybe it's just like, if you feel right, if you feel you need to, and you feel right about it, and you're confident in your stand, then go for it.
Yeah. Well, I'll paint it in a different picture too, because the band Jimmy Eat World shows up to a stage at a festival where you've got all walks of life, and the moment you go into the sweetness, and suddenly everybody's brought together in that moment. That's the hippie version of it that I'm getting at. But we all experience that as music fans.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's definitely true. I mean, I found the most accepting, most generous people in my times, from the early days sleeping on floors until now. Like, these are the people that I, just on a personal, level, like, just see eye to eye with. Mm-hmm. And it is that. It's like the, generous and accepting kind of crew.
If you don't mind hopping into the time machine just for a second, I also noticed it's the 25th anniversary of the band. And I don't know, do you count the years like that? Does that mean anything at this point?
Yeah, 0s and 5s start to mean something.
Yeah.
when you get a couple. Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I don't know. We'll do something next year to have a party or something.
Because that's what with the first EP 1, 2, 3, 4 and the self-titled album that actually they celebrate next year.
Well, I mean, 94.
94 is the album releases. Yeah.
February 94 is kind of when we go by as like our first gig together.
Yeah. But still to have, and that's the other thing, to have almost all of your original moments from original members from that moment, it's so rare, for that still to work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a feat that's not lost on us for sure.
And it's when everything does start to be an anniversary, as you're saying, the 5s and 0s, when it starts to be, every album starts to celebrate in some way. Is there a push and pull of trying to, always look towards the future on the next record or whatever, and what you're going to do musically, but to acknowledge the past?
A little bit. I mean, because it's I think for a lot of people, especially the ones who were around at the very beginning, it's like I think they feel a sense of ownership over that achievement too. So I think it's kind of like it's definitely a nice cathartic thing to share with people. Like we want to acknowledge it. We're just kind of on the fence about how great to acknowledge that because we are a current band. We've been around for so long, but we've been working the whole time.
Right.
Like it's just kind of like I don't know. As long as we just keep doing what we're doing and are stoked about like how it turns out, I think all that other worry will work itself out. Like are we a legacy quote unquote act, or are we a current band?
Right.
It's kind of like, well, we're kind of both, really.
You've been around but your albums still are successful records. I mean, you're still selling records. The streams are high. You have radio songs.
Yeah. I mean, we've played for more people in the last year and a half than we have like maybe our entire time as a band.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Sure and Certain was one of our biggest songs of the year.
Yeah. No. That's what I mean. It's like it.
No, right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of.
Well, I'll say this too about the those early days, because I don't know how the last time you listened to that first record or the first EP, but that's a very different sounding band. How do you represent that at this point? I mean, at some point you weren't even the lead singer.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, I think that's what's so cool about it, about the experience of us and being in this project for this long, is that there's still no rules. It can kind of be. It can be the thing that we're most excited about at any given point, and that's gonna change. And I think it should change. I hope that it changes. Because that means that you're growing, you're doing something. You're pushing.
Well, I'm along for the ride on all of that. I obviously love all the music. I've been a fan for so long, and whether you celebrate in the past or the next record, I'm there.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thanks a lot, man. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Jim Adkins, Jimmy Eat World, for that conversation right there. The new singles Love Never and Half Hearts. Don't forget, you can subscribe to Consequence of Sound's YouTube channel right now. In fact, just hit that button to keep up with your favorite artists and interviews. If you're listening to the podcast, iTunes, Podchaser, or wherever you get your podcast from, grab that subscribe as well, and then leave a rating and a review. And then you can head over to WFPK.org. That's where you hear me do a show every Monday through Thursday from noon to 3 Eastern. We also got some bonus episodes of the series over there. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.
Consequence Podcast Network.